So, you want to own Netflix. Not a subscription, not an account you've been sharing with your family, not a few shares sitting quietly inside your investment portfolio. You want the entire company, every original movie, every hit TV series, every documentary, every subscriber, every recommendation, every streaming server, every licensing agreement, every production studio, every algorithm, everything. At first, it sounds like one of the greatest businesses on earth, because somewhere in the world right now, someone is opening Netflix. A college student is starting another episode of Stranger Things. A family is watching a movie after dinner. Someone in Brazil is binge-watching a Korean drama. A businessman in London is watching a documentary. A teenager in Japan is discovering an anime series. Hundreds of millions of people across almost every continent are watching your platform. Not tomorrow, right now. It feels like free money. People pay every month. They watch, they keep paying. Simple, right? Not even close. Because unlike almost every company we've covered on Millionaire Decisions, Netflix doesn't make money every time someone watches a movie. In fact, every hour someone spends watching could actually cost you money. That's when your phone rings. It's 7:48 on a Monday morning. You're halfway through your first cup of coffee. Your phone vibrates. The caller ID simply reads, "Private number." You answer. The voice introduces itself. They're calling from one of the world's largest investment banks. The conversation is surprisingly short. We've been authorized to approach a very limited group of buyers. You stop stirring your coffee. The voice continues. Netflix is available. Silence. Surely, this has to be a joke. It isn't. The board is considering offers. Major shareholders are prepared to negotiate. Investment banks are already building financing packages. Law firms have signed confidentiality agreements. Governments have quietly been informed. The opportunity is real. Then comes the number. Hundreds of billions of dollars. Not millions. Not tens of billions. Hundreds. Your advisors immediately begin making phone calls. Private equity firms want meetings. Institutional investors begin running valuation models. Lawyers start preparing acquisition documents. Everyone wants your answer. Then someone slides a contract across the table. One signature, one decision. At first, the answer feels obvious. Netflix has hundreds of millions of subscribers. People pay every month. The company owns some of the biggest TV shows in the world. What could possibly go wrong? Then someone asks one question. What happens if millions of subscribers decide to cancel next month? Suddenly, the room goes quiet. Because that's something no factory owner worries about. It's not something Coca-Cola worries about every month. It's not something Apple worries about every month. But it's something you, as the owner of Netflix, must think about every single day. Because unlike buying a phone, watching Netflix is a decision customers make every month. Every billing cycle, every subscriber silently asks themselves, am I still getting enough value for my money? If the answer is yes, they stay. If the answer is no, they're gone. One click, subscription cancelled, revenue disappears. That's when you realize something. Netflix isn't selling movies. Netflix is selling a reason not to cancel. Think about that. The latest blockbuster isn't just entertainment, it's customer retention. That award-winning documentary isn't just journalism, it's customer retention. That addictive crime series everyone talks about, customer retention. Even the recommendation algorithm, the one that always seems to know exactly what you want to watch, exists for one reason: customer retention. Everything inside Netflix points toward one goal: keep subscribers happy enough to stay another month. Because if they leave, everything becomes harder. Imagine this. A subscriber finishes watching their favorite series. The credits roll. They're holding the remote. Now they have a decision. Do they start another show? Or do they open their account settings and cancel? That moment may only last a few seconds, but to Netflix, it could be worth hundreds of dollars over the lifetime of that customer. That's why the next recommendation appears instantly. Another movie, another documentary, another series. The platform never wants you wondering, What should I watch now? Because confusion leads to frustration. Frustration leads to inactivity. Inactivity leads to cancellations. And cancellations destroy subscription businesses. Then comes another surprise. You assumed Netflix owned everything people watched. Wrong. Some of the biggest movies don't belong to Netflix. Many are licensed. That means someone else owns them. Studios, production companies, entertainment giants. Netflix pays enormous sums of money for the right to stream content. And those rights don't last forever. When the contract expires, the content may disappear, which means even after spending millions, sometimes hundreds of millions, you don't actually own the movie. You rented it. Then comes original content. Now you're no longer licensing someone else's success. You're betting on your own. Imagine spending over $100 million producing a television series. Months of writing, casting, filming, editing, marketing, global promotion. The show finally launches, and nobody watches. The money is gone. Unlike a car factory, you can't recycle the steel. Unlike a restaurant, you can't sell tomorrow's meals instead. Entertainment is different. One failed production can cost hundreds of millions of dollars. One successful production can keep millions of subscribers paying for years. That's the gamble. And it's one you repeat again and again and again. Then comes another hidden business: technology. Most viewers never think about it. They open Netflix, press play. The movie starts instantly. Simple. Except behind that play button, thousands of servers, content delivery networks, compression technology, streaming infrastructure, recommendation systems, artificial intelligence, machine learning, cybersecurity, engineers. Everything works together so someone can watch a movie without buffering. When the experience is perfect, nobody notices. When it fails, everyone complains. That's technology. Invisible when successful, obvious when broken. Then you discover another astonishing fact. Netflix isn't competing only with Disney or Amazon or HBO. It's competing with sleep. It's competing with TikTok, with YouTube, with Instagram, with video games, with football matches, with reading books, with spending time outside. Anything competing for a person's attention is competing with Netflix, because every hour someone spends somewhere else is one less hour spent inside your ecosystem. And if enough people stop watching, they eventually stop paying. That's why attention is your most valuable product. Not movies, not TV shows. Attention. That's when you finally understand what you've bought. You haven't purchased a movie company. You haven't purchased a television network. You've purchased one of the world's largest attention businesses. A company that wakes up every morning trying to answer one question: how do we convince millions of people not to leave? Today, we're going to answer the biggest questions every billionaire would ask before buying Netflix. How much would it actually cost? Why does Netflix spend billions making shows before earning a single dollar from them? How valuable is one subscriber? Why is the recommendation algorithm worth billions? What happens if people stop binge watching? And after everything we've learned, would owning Netflix actually be one of the smartest millionaire decisions ever made? Or would you be buying one of the most expensive monthly promises in the world? Before we find out, if you enjoy deep dives into the economics behind the world's biggest companies, subscribe to Millionaire Decisions. And here's today's question. If someone gave you enough money to buy Netflix tomorrow, would you take the deal? Or would you invest those hundreds of billions somewhere else? Let me know your decision in the comments. Because next, we're going to discover something that surprises almost everyone. Buying Netflix may cost hundreds of billions of dollars, but keeping millions of people entertained every single month could cost even more. So, you've made your decision. The lawyers have finished reviewing the contracts. The investment banks have secured the financing. Major shareholders have accepted your offer. The deal is complete. Congratulations. You now own Netflix. The celebration lasts about 5 minutes. Because before you've even finished shaking hands, the bills start arriving. And that's when you discover something almost nobody realizes. Buying Netflix is actually the cheapest part. Keeping Netflix alive is where the real money disappears. Let's start with the obvious question. How much would Netflix actually cost? Most people would simply look at the company's stock market value and assume that's the price. But buying an entire public company doesn't work like that. The moment you announce you're buying Netflix, the stock price begins moving. Shareholders know you need their approval. Institutional investors want more money. Large funds negotiate. Some refuse to sell. Others demand a premium. That means the number you first saw is only the beginning. By the time lawyers, investment banks, taxes, and acquisition costs are added, you're spending hundreds of billions of dollars before producing a single new episode. Then comes the first surprise. You don't buy Netflix and suddenly own every movie on the platform forever. Many of the films people love don't actually belong to Netflix. They're licensed. Imagine renting a luxury apartment. You can live there, decorate it, invite friends over. But eventually, the lease expires. That's exactly how many streaming rights work. Netflix pays enormous amounts of money for the right to stream content for a limited period. When those agreements expire, studios can renew them, increase the price, or take the content back completely, which means one of your most popular movies today could disappear tomorrow. Then comes original content. This is where the numbers become almost unbelievable. Imagine calling a producer. You want a new science fiction series. They present a budget, $100 million, for one season. Then another producer arrives. A historical drama, $80 million. Then an action film, $150 million. Then an animated feature, $60 million. Within a single afternoon, you've approved budgets worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and the cameras haven't even started rolling. Then production begins. Actors, directors, writers, producers, camera crews, lighting teams, visual effects artists, editors, sound designers, costume departments, locations, insurance, travel, accommodation, catering, security, music licensing, marketing. Every production becomes a small business of its own. Now multiply that by hundreds of productions happening around the world simultaneously. That's Netflix. Then comes the biggest risk. Nobody knows what will become a hit. Imagine spending $200 million on a blockbuster. The trailers look incredible. The cast is famous. Marketing fills the internet. Release day arrives. People watch it once, forget about it, and move on. The investment is gone. Now imagine another project. A relatively unknown Korean television series. Modest expectations. Limited promotion. Then suddenly, the entire world is talking about it. Millions of new subscribers join. Existing subscribers stay another month. Merchandise appears everywhere. That's the reality of entertainment. Success is difficult to predict. Failure is incredibly expensive. And you must keep making those bets, year after year. Because here's the problem. Content gets old. The series everyone loved 3 years ago may not convince someone to subscribe today. The blockbuster movie that dominated headlines eventually becomes yesterday's news. That means Netflix cannot stop creating, ever. Unlike Coca-Cola, you can't keep selling exactly the same bottle forever. Unlike Microsoft, you can't rely on software people already own. Unlike Apple, you can't launch one phone each year and expect customers to stay. Netflix wakes up every January with the same challenge. What are people going to watch next? Then comes technology. Most people think Netflix is an entertainment company. It is. But it's also one of the world's largest technology businesses. Think about what happens every evening. Millions of people arrive at almost exactly the same time. They press play. Within seconds, high-definition video begins streaming. No waiting, no downloads, no buffering. That experience feels effortless, because billions of dollars have been spent making it effortless. Servers, cloud infrastructure, content delivery networks, artificial intelligence, video compression, machine learning, cybersecurity, recommendation engines, software engineers. Everything must work together perfectly. Because if your movie buffers every 5 minutes, people don't blame their internet. They blame Netflix. Then there's personalization. Open your Netflix account. Now open someone else's. The home pages are completely different. Different recommendations. Different artwork. Different categories. Different rankings. Why? Because Netflix studies behavior. What you watch. When you stop watching. Which genres you prefer. How long you binge. What trailers you ignore. Every click teaches the algorithm something new. The goal isn't simply to recommend another movie. The goal is to keep you watching. Because the longer you watch, the less likely you are to cancel. That's why the recommendation engine may be one of the most valuable assets you own. It's not just software, it's a retention machine. Then comes global expansion. Netflix isn't serving one country. It's serving audiences across the world. That means producing content in dozens of languages, hiring local production companies, understanding different cultures, negotiating broadcasting rights, complying with different regulations, managing currency fluctuations. What becomes a hit in Spain may never succeed in Canada. What audiences love in Japan may not interest viewers in Brazil. So instead of making entertainment for one audience, you're making entertainment for the world. Then comes marketing. Imagine spending $100 million producing an incredible movie. Nobody hears about it. Nobody watches. Money wasted. Now imagine spending another $50 million just convincing people to press play. Billboards, television commercials, social media campaigns, premieres, celebrity interviews, global advertising. Creating great content isn't enough. People need to know it exists. Then comes competition. And this might be your biggest expense of all, because you're no longer competing against cable television. You're competing against Disney, against Amazon Prime Video, against Max, against Apple TV+, against YouTube, against TikTok, against gaming, against social media, against every company fighting for a person's free time. That means standing still isn't an option. If your competitors spend more on content, you may have to spend more. If they improve streaming quality, you improve yours. If they launch a global hit, you need one too. It's an arms race, and every year, the cost increases. Now let's add everything together. The acquisition price, licensing agreements, original productions, actors, studios, technology, cloud infrastructure, recommendation algorithms, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, marketing, global expansion, customer support, payment systems, legal compliance, content delivery, data storage, streaming infrastructure. Before one subscriber pays next month's bill, you've already invested billions. That's the economics of owning Netflix. You're not buying movies, you're buying the ability to continuously create experiences that millions of people believe are worth paying for. Every month, without fail. And here's what makes Netflix different from every company we've covered so far. Amazon can sell another product. Apple can release another iPhone. Coca-Cola can sell another bottle. But Netflix has only one question that truly matters. Can we give people a reason to come back next month? Because the moment the answer becomes no, the subscription ends, revenue disappears, and one of the world's greatest entertainment businesses begins to shrink. Which brings us to the biggest question of all. If Netflix spends billions before earning billions, where does all the money actually come from? The answer is far more fascinating than simply charging a monthly subscription. So, you've bought Netflix. The lawyers have gone home. The headlines have faded. The interviews are over. Now, it's your first Monday as the owner of one of the world's largest streaming companies. You walk into headquarters expecting to see a movie studio. Instead, you find engineers, data scientists, software developers, artificial intelligence researchers, content analysts, marketing teams, economists. Suddenly, you realize something. Netflix isn't simply an entertainment company. It's a technology company, disguised as an entertainment company. Let's start with the obvious question. How does Netflix actually make money? The answer seems simple. Subscriptions. People pay every month. End of story. Except, that isn't the interesting part. The interesting part is why they keep paying. Imagine you own a gym. The hardest part isn't convincing someone to sign up. It's convincing them not to cancel 3 months later. Netflix works exactly the same way. Getting subscribers is expensive. Keeping them is where the real money is made. Think about one customer. They subscribe for $15 a month. Not much, but suppose they stay for 5 years. That single customer has now generated hundreds of dollars in revenue. Multiply that by hundreds of millions of subscribers, and suddenly, loyalty becomes one of your biggest assets. That's why Netflix doesn't measure success only by how many people watch a show. It asks a much bigger question. Did this show keep people subscribed? Because a billion-dollar series that fails to reduce cancellations may not actually be worth $1 billion. Then comes the recommendation algorithm. This may be the most valuable employee in your company, except it isn't a person, it's software. Think about the last time you opened Netflix. You didn't see every movie ever made. You saw a carefully selected homepage, rows of recommendations, personalized categories, suggested movies, trending shows. Because Netflix knows something. People rarely cancel after watching something they love. They cancel when they can't find anything worth watching. That's why the recommendation engine exists. Not simply to entertain you, but to remove decision fatigue. Every second you spend searching is a second you're not enjoying the platform, and frustrated customers eventually leave. Now imagine millions of viewers. One likes documentaries, another prefers comedy, someone else watches Korean dramas, another only watches action movies. Every recommendation changes. Every homepage becomes unique. That's not magic, it's data. Every click, every pause, every episode finished, every episode abandoned halfway through, every search, every replay, teaches the system something. The platform becomes smarter, one decision at a time. Then comes binge watching. Netflix didn't invent watching television, but it changed how people consume it. Instead of waiting every week, entire seasons became available immediately. One episode ends, the next begins automatically. The viewer says, just one more, then another, then another. Before they realize it, 3 hours have passed. That wasn't an accident. Autoplay, episode previews, recommendations. Everything was designed to reduce friction. Because the longer someone stays inside Netflix, the more valuable the subscription becomes. Then comes original content. Years ago, Netflix depended heavily on Hollywood studios. Movies from Disney, Warner Brothers, Sony, Universal, Paramount. But then something changed. Studios realized streaming was the future. They wanted their content back. Suddenly, movies began disappearing from Netflix. That created a huge problem. If you don't own the content, someone else controls your future. So Netflix changed strategy. Instead of renting success, it decided to create it. House of Cards, Stranger Things, The Crown, Wednesday, Bridgerton, Squid Game. Now, these weren't just television shows. They became assets, intellectual property, brands, franchises, things competitors couldn't simply take away. Then came another breakthrough: global storytelling. Hollywood no longer had to produce every hit. A Spanish crime series becomes a worldwide phenomenon. A Korean survival drama breaks records. A German science fiction series builds an international audience. A Japanese anime becomes a global success. Netflix realized something extraordinary. Great stories don't need passports. That dramatically increased the size of your creative talent pool. Instead of competing for a few Hollywood writers, you're now searching the entire world. Then comes advertising. For years, Netflix rejected advertisements completely. The subscription model was enough. But markets change. Some customers wanted a cheaper plan. Netflix responded, offer a lower-priced subscription, supported by advertising. Now, one customer pays with money, Another pays with both money and attention. Two different business models inside one platform. That's diversification. Then comes password sharing. For years, friends, families, roommates, everyone shared accounts. It became part of internet culture. Some people believed it was helping Netflix grow. Others believed it was costing billions. Eventually, Netflix made its decision. Limit sharing. Encourage additional memberships. The result surprised many analysts. Millions of users chose to pay instead of leaving. Sometimes, protecting your revenue means making unpopular decisions. Now step back. Your business isn't built on movies. It's built on recurring relationships. Every recommendation, every original series, every technology upgrade, every licensing agreement exists for one purpose: to make millions of people feel that Netflix is still worth paying for next month. And if that's how Netflix makes its money, the next question becomes obvious. What could destroy it? Because every great business eventually faces its biggest test. By now, you've seen why Netflix became one of the world's most successful streaming companies. You understand subscriptions, original content, algorithms, technology, customer retention. But now, let's look at the other side. Because no business is perfect, and Netflix faces challenges unlike almost any company we've covered. Let's start with the biggest one: content. Think about Coca-Cola. The formula barely changes. Think about Apple. One iPhone can sell for years. Think about Microsoft. Businesses use Windows for decades. Netflix doesn't have that luxury. Every single month, millions of subscribers expect something new. New movies, new documentaries, new comedy specials, new series, new reasons to stay. That means your content budget never ends. The moment you stop creating, people notice. Then they leave. Now imagine spending $200 million producing a blockbuster. Critics love it. The trailers look amazing. Release day arrives. Nobody watches. You can't return it. You can't resell it. The money is gone. Entertainment is one of the few industries where enormous investments can disappear overnight. Then comes competition. When Netflix first became popular, streaming had relatively few major players. Today, everything has changed. Disney has Disney+. Amazon has Prime Video. Warner Brothers has Max. Apple has Apple TV+. Sports have their own streaming platforms. Even YouTube is competing for the same hours of attention. That's the real battle, not subscriptions, time. Every hour someone spends watching TikTok is an hour they aren't watching Netflix. Every hour spent gaming, reading, scrolling social media, or watching YouTube competes directly with your business. Attention has become one of the world's most valuable resources, and everyone wants it. Then comes subscriber churn. This may be the most dangerous number inside Netflix. Imagine 1 million new subscribers join this month. Fantastic. Now imagine 1 million existing subscribers cancel. Growth becomes zero. That's why acquiring customers isn't enough. You must constantly replace the people leaving. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Then comes rising production costs. Actors demand higher salaries. Directors become more expensive. Visual effects cost more. Studios increase their prices. Marketing budgets grow. Everything becomes more expensive. But customers don't necessarily want to pay higher subscription fees. Now you're trapped. Raise prices, and some people cancel. Don't raise prices, and profit margins shrink. That's one of the hardest decisions any subscription business faces. Then comes artificial intelligence. Some see AI as a huge opportunity. Better recommendations, smarter marketing, more efficient production, faster dubbing, improved subtitles, lower operating costs. Others see a different future. AI-generated entertainment, virtual actors, automated storytelling, completely new competitors. Nobody knows exactly how AI will reshape entertainment. But one thing is certain: ignoring it isn't an option. Then comes regulation. Different countries require different rules. Local content quotas, privacy laws, tax obligations, content restrictions. censorship, copyright disputes. Operating globally means constantly adapting to local regulations. Finally, there's one risk almost nobody talks about: success itself. Imagine creating the biggest show in the world. Everyone watches, everyone talks about it. Now what? Your next project is immediately compared against it. Every success raises expectations. Every blockbuster makes the next blockbuster harder to create. Netflix isn't competing against other companies. Sometimes, it's competing against its own history. Now let's go back to that Monday morning. The banker, the contract, the hundreds of billions of dollars. Would you still buy Netflix? A billionaire wouldn't ask, "Can Netflix make money?" That's obvious. Instead, they'd ask, "Can Netflix continue creating stories the world can't stop talking about? Can it stay ahead of changing technology? Can it keep subscribers loyal despite endless competition? Can it remain the first app people open when they want entertainment?" Because if the answer is yes, owning Netflix could remain one of the greatest entertainment investments ever made. But if the answer becomes no, subscribers don't complain, they simply cancel. And that's exactly what makes Netflix one of the most fascinating businesses in the world. In the final chapter, we'll make the ultimate millionaire decision. Would buying Netflix actually be worth it? Or are you paying hundreds of billions of dollars for a company that must earn its customers' loyalty every single month? Let's go back to where this journey began. It's Monday morning. Your coffee is still sitting on the table. The investment bankers are waiting. The lawyers have finished the paperwork. The acquisition agreement is in front of you. Hundreds of billions of dollars. One signature. One decision. At the beginning of this video, owning Netflix sounded like a dream. Hundreds of millions of subscribers. A globally recognized brand. Award-winning movies. Hit television shows. Recurring monthly revenue. It looked like the perfect business. Now, you know the truth. You haven't bought a movie company. You haven't bought a television network. You've bought one of the world's largest subscription businesses. A business that wakes up every single morning knowing that millions of customers can leave with one click. Unlike Apple, nobody needs to buy a new Netflix every few years. Unlike Coca-Cola, people don't buy another bottle tomorrow. Unlike Amazon, nobody needs Netflix to order groceries. Every month, your customers make a decision. Is Netflix still worth paying for? And your entire business depends on the answer being yes. That's the challenge. But it's also what makes Netflix extraordinary. Because when subscribers stay, the economics become incredibly powerful. Think about it. A subscriber pays every month. Not once, not twice. Month after month. Year after year. One customer who stays for 5 years may generate hundreds of dollars in revenue. Multiply that by hundreds of millions of subscribers, and suddenly, you're operating one of the most predictable cash-generating businesses in the world. That's why investors love subscription companies. Revenue doesn't begin at zero every month. A large percentage of next month's income is already waiting, as long as customers don't cancel. But predictable revenue doesn't mean guaranteed success, because every dollar Netflix earns must first be defended through better technology, better recommendations, better stories, better user experiences. Every month, you earn the right to charge your customers again. And that brings us to the biggest question. Was buying Netflix actually worth it? Let's score the business. Millionaire Decision Scorecard Acquisition Cost. 3-star Netflix is expensive, but compared to trillion-dollar technology giants, it's still within reach of the world's largest institutional investors and sovereign wealth funds. You're paying for one of the strongest entertainment brands ever created. Score, 3 out of 5. Revenue potential, 5-star. This is where Netflix shines. Hundreds of millions of subscribers, recurring monthly income, advertising revenue, licensing opportunities, merchandise, intellectual property, global expansion. Once the platform reaches scale, the cash flow can become extraordinary. Score, 5 out of 5. Operational difficulty, 4-star. Far more difficult than most people imagine. You're not simply releasing movies. You're managing technology, artificial intelligence, global content production, licensing agreements, cybersecurity, marketing. and one of the world's most sophisticated recommendation systems. Every month, you must convince millions of people to stay. That's an enormous responsibility. Score: 4 out of 5. Risk level 4-star entertainment is unpredictable. A billion-dollar investment can fail. Consumer tastes change. Competitors launch new platforms. Subscription fatigue grows. Artificial intelligence may reshape the entire industry. You're constantly betting on what people will want to watch next, and nobody gets that prediction right every time. Score: 4 out of 5. Competitive advantage. 5-star Netflix has spent years building advantages that are difficult to copy. Its recommendation algorithm, its global subscriber base, its original intellectual property, its brand recognition, its experience producing international hits. These create a powerful competitive moat, but like every moat, it must be defended continuously. Score: 5 out of 5. Future outlook: 4-star streaming isn't disappearing. If anything, global demand for digital entertainment continues to grow. The challenge isn't whether people will keep streaming, it's whether they'll keep choosing Netflix. If management continues adapting, investing wisely, and producing world-class content, the future remains incredibly promising. But standing still isn't an option. Score: 4 out of 5. Now let's total everything. Acquisition cost: 3 out of 5. Revenue potential: 5 out of 5. Operational difficulty: 4 out of 5. Risk level: 4 out of 5. Competitive advantage: 5 out of 5. Future outlook: 4 out of 5. That gives Netflix 25 out of 30. One of the highest scores we've awarded on Millionaire decisions. So, would owning Netflix be a millionaire decision? Absolutely. But probably not for the reason most people think. Most people believe Netflix is successful because it makes great movies. That's only part of the story. Netflix isn't really selling entertainment. It's selling habits. Every recommendation, every autoplay countdown, every personalized homepage, every original series, every documentary, every new feature exists for one reason: to become part of your routine. The moment opening Netflix becomes a habit, canceling becomes much harder. And habits are incredibly valuable businesses. But Netflix also teaches another lesson. The world's biggest companies rarely sell what you think they sell. Amazon doesn't simply sell products, it sells convenience. Apple doesn't simply sell phones, it sells an ecosystem. Coca-Cola doesn't simply sell soft drinks, it sells one of the most recognizable brands on earth. And Netflix doesn't simply sell movies, it sells attention. And in today's economy, attention may be one of the most valuable assets a company can own. So, the investment banker asks one final time, do we have a deal? You think about the hundreds of billions of dollars, the subscribers, the technology, the competition, the opportunities, the risks. You remember everything you've learned today. Then, you pick up the pen. Would you sign, or would you walk away? That's the decision only you can make. If you enjoyed today's deep dive into the economics behind one of the world's most influential companies, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to Millionaire Decisions. We're just getting started, and every week, we'll take apart another billion-dollar company, another iconic brand, or another fascinating industry to discover what it really costs to own it. Now I want to hear from you. If you had enough money to buy Netflix tomorrow, would you do it? Or would you invest those hundreds of billions somewhere else? Tell me your decision in the comments below. And if there's another company you've always wondered about, leave its name as well, because your suggestion might become our next episode. Until then, remember this: the biggest businesses in the world aren't always the ones with the biggest factories, or the most employees, or even the most products. Sometimes, the most valuable business is simply the one that earns people's attention, again and again and again.